Alright, so we're going to take the final, here's the final technique as far as how to work with scan data. In this case, we're going to kind of convert solid forms to spline, or T-splines, and then pull them into shape, and then kind of resculpt them back into solids, okay? So here's a finished version of this to kind of show you where we're going with this. Let me turn off the ear part of this. Okay, so you can see how this has been sculpted into a form that in theory should match this. Now you can see it's got some issues there running into forms and even this solid piece of this as well. But it does do, and you'll see as we work with this, a pretty good job of getting it into shape that we want and all with this. Okay, so we're going to take a look how to do this. Now, this is a different kind of scan in that it is one that is designed to actually be a very accurate representation of your internal ear, the ear canal down to the drum, and then also this part out there. It's if you go into the Body Fit lab and ask to get this done, it's actually a machine that put a little ring around your ear as kind of a reference, and they take this probe and stick it in and out and kind of measure that way, develop a mesh form with that. It's actually used by the military so that the people who work on the flight deck for aircraft carriers, they actually have to wear about 2 or 3 different layers of ear protection because it's so noisy out there. So this was a technique developed by some Georgia Tech students, or researchers I should say, that they went out and commercialized it as a way to get that real close, accurate way of doing an earplug for the very inner part of the ear. Then you would put like a standard, maybe another cushion on top of that, and then finally a third one on top of that as well. Okay, so they don't give you the mesh right away. They have to send it off this company. It's proprietary, and then they will basically mail you this file later on. Okay, so once again, if you want to, we're going to work with the start file there. Open that up, and you can open up the final file as well, just to have it as a reference. Alright, to the start file. So the first thing is that we need to go in and convert pieces of this to T-splines. Okay, so I'm going to go into the bodies and the mesh that is for my ear. I'm going to turn this off. Now this is a GrabCAD earbud piece that I found out there and downloaded, so didn't do this modeling myself, but it's a good reference. And it is actually a component that's been brought in. Okay, so you can grab it, manipulate it, and change it around. And as you can see, trying to fit it even into the ear canal is a little tough. It's already intersecting in some spots. So with that, the goal is to kind of hopefully get this, a closer fit in there. Alright, so what we need to do first, and notice also this is kind of like an assembly file. There's no timeline. You've got the sculpt mode right there along with the mesh and the patch all kind of here. Okay, so we're in the sculpt mode, and I'm going to go over to utilities and go to convert. So normally if you do a mesh and you finish it and it'll do the convert for you, that's a T-spline to B-rep is what's happening there. What we're going to do is we want to go from a B-rep face to a T-spline. Okay, so that means I can pick this face right there and basically get it converted to a T-spline form. Now what I need to do is increase the number of faces on it. So in this case it's the length spacing, and it's kind of hard to see. I'll turn it off in a second. So there's 8, so we're getting more definitions going around there. 4 in this direction is good for right now for this example. Alright, got it. And then we're going to just basically turn off the earbud at this point and bring back the ear mesh. Alright, so what we're going to do is basically now start using the pull tool here to pull vertices onto the mesh data. So the way this works, you set it up to auto the target, so it assumes that if you got one face, it will work well with that. And this will take a surface point to pull it over there to match up. And the way this works, you simply just click on a point. Notice it jumps over, so you can go like through rows this way to do that. Okay, and I'll go all the way out to there. And so you kind of go through and do it. Now, problem with this technique is that it looks for the closest distance. So that won't always be just kind of a linear pull over it. I don't know if you can already see it. It's not too bad yet, but on some of these, when it pulls, it knows that one jumped way over to the right, not kind of straight up we want. Let's see if we can undo that. I undid everything. I was hoping it wouldn't do that, but so once again, it's modify, pull. So this works well through here. It's not too far off. On some of these, you may actually have to move them into a better relationship, meaning kind of pull them around first to get them, closer. Like on this, I may want to move it up here to get it to snap up there versus snapping over to the side. I'm just going to avoid this row right now. So we'll go through this side and make sure we get all these. Now, what's nice about this, you can kind of move around the form. We can look out here. We can actually see, oh yeah, I need to pull these backwards and do that. And you can then even go through what's there and kind of figure out where the next one would be. Yeah, missed that one. Let's see. All right there and right there. Let's do a few more in through here. Okay, so this is going to rough out the shape for us. I'm going to do one there. All right. I'll try one more down at the bottom. All right. Okay, hit OK to that. So that's the technique to get it kind of pulled in geometry. And like I said, on a row like this or up there, you may need to move it closer to the actual direction you want it to snap to. Okay. Now, when you get finished, what you'll notice is you've got a convoluted little T-spline form. So how are you going to make this back into a solid? Okay. Well, what we're going to do is bring back the earbud. Okay, and then we're going to pull a couple different references off of this. All right. Let me switch this around and do this. And I'm going to go over here and this time set current view fixed distance. Okay, so it'll always kind of come back to this. Now, I'm going to go over to my construct and I'm going to do an offset plane. And I need to pick something flat. I was hoping to pick this edge right there, but it didn't work. So instead, I'll pick that and just kind of eyeball this into where I want it. So it should be right about there. Okay. Actually, we'll do like right there is where the edge originally came off of. Okay, good. I'll hit OK to that. Now, let me turn this off for a second. I'm going to convert another one. So I'm going to go back to the utilities, convert. It won't necessarily be the same setup. I'm going to convert this. Okay, and if I remember correctly, yeah, it's actually, in this case, the opposite. It's the width spacings that we need to crank up to 8. We need to make sure they match up. The number of faces this way and that way there. Okay. Now, go back in and turn the earbud off again. Alright, so what I need to do is flatten this one out first. Okay, I'll turn my construction plane back on. I'll double pick on this edge. Okay, go ahead and make it active. I'll go to modify and I'll use the flatten tool. And I'll select where it has set this up to select plane. So I'll pick that plane. Now that snaps it back into a flat plane. Now moving around, you may have to go back in and re-reference it and manually pull these into where you want it on the relative to the scan data. Let's just check that real quick. I'll turn that construction plane off, this back on. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell in this environment. We have to set up a section to kind of look at it. I'll go ahead and say it's okay. Alright, so we'll turn that off again. Alright, so there's an overall shape, but now I need to match it up. That's where we go in and use the bridge tool. There we go. This will be one edge. That'll be two edge. And preview's on, so it's looking good. Don't see any twisting. Hit OK. And there we go. So that's that front edge. Okay. And we can sculpt this a little further, like we can pick this and say edit form and push that in to kind of soften this up a little bit. if we need to change something like that as well, same thing with this. We can maybe scale it down a little bit if we need to change the shape of that. Alright, cool. Now, on the back side, okay, we could try to, once again, go ahead and do the bridge, but we'll probably end up with some really strange form. Let's actually try it. See the bridge tool. Nope. Modify bridge. And do this back edge. Okay, give it a shot, hit OK. Not bad, I'll go and leave it like that. Okay, but I could have snapped it and flattened it out. Now, let's bring back the earbud. Okay, so what we're going to do with this is under bodies, turn this first body off. There is our new customized our foam piece to match the ear there. Okay, and to finish this out, let's jump over to the rendering side real quick. Okay, so it's steel right now. That'd be kind of tough. Bring up the appearance palette. Look underneath here under other. There's foam, and I'll use this polyurethane. Apply it to that. Now it looks really hideous to start off because the scale is way off. So I'll double click on this, and this is one that really jumping it down in scale, probably to something like 19, I think it was before, gets it at least close. Now it's still a little kind of pull because this is automatic scaling. Okay, so I'll go over here to the texture map controls, select that, and switch it from automatic to this box mode. Notice how it makes it a nice smooth, a lot smoother appearance with that. Okay, so there is one customized earbud piece relative to my inner ear. And let's see if I can make my inner ear look a little better. I'm going to use, and a lot of times with the scan data, I use paper as a way to kind of get just a even tone on this. Okay, in this case, I don't know if it's. I'm going to actually go in and do the texture map controls again, and do planar pick. Select axis. There we go. Okay, so it kind of gives a little texture to it and mutes it out a great deal. With that, all right. Boy, those are some scary looking renderings there. Let's see what it looks like. Before I do that, let me use this to kind of manipulate it around. There we go. And twist it this way. A little bit more on this. And just pull it over. Alright. And let's do a little in-canvas rendering, see what it's going to look like. So this is one probably manipulating the environment. Let's see about that. Put a little light on it. There we go. Alright, close that out. That works a lot better. So see how you can use that to kind of really help enhance these renderings to do something like that real quickly. Let's see, I didn't do, let me jump back over to my final version. I did do a rendering on this one. I didn't even look at it. Let's see what it came out to be. It's still cranking away. Yeah, it's in the queue. It's part of a save. Oops. Close that. This one I think is definitely going to be a lot better set up with that, with lighting and everything with it. Okay, and then we can turn this off and we can switch back around to that view, and there we go. Alright, so that's the third technique of how to basically snap or pull to scan data. The good thing is if you don't have a file like this where you let's say you did the design file, you brought in the scan piece, and then you just made some solid form, you can still do this technique, converting it to get it to a T-spline form, and then working with it from there to go through that. Now, one thing I didn't do, I should show this last step. Let me go back to the sculpt mode, go back to utilities, go to convert. Okay, in this mode, remember we don't have the way to say finish form, but we do have the ability to say, well, let's take this T-spline to B-rep. Pick that. Going to create a new body, hit OK, and now it's a solid. Okay, so you can actually go in and easily manufacture this, do something with it as well. All right, so that's the third technique.